Hey everyone, back tuning into today's video. We're going to have a look at the weather for, the next month really, in today's video, going through to November. Going to have some very mild weather coming up this week and into the start of November, bringing in sort of balmy, southerly winds. It will be unsettled though, there'll be bands of rain coming through. We may be seeing just a few hints within the CFS of something a bit colder turning up through the middle part of November, perhaps. So we'll have a look at the detail on that in a second. But before I get on all of that, just very quickly say about the ads. There's links to articles on the page of Gas Office. I have the ads widgets and click through the links. If there's any articles that you're interested in, and thanks very much for doing that. There's also video ads, most pages, which open out in the content when you watch them. They'll close back up again, so it's all helping to pay for the website. Thanks so much for getting involved. Thanks for doing that. This evening on the events page, you can have a quick look at Bonfire Night. Of course, Bonfire Night is around 10 days away, so I'll have a video for that this evening, probably around 6, 7 o'clock, something like that. So come back for that if you want to know what may be happening for your bonfire and fireworks parties. Right, starting off with the GFS temperature and precipitation on top, you can see how mild it's going to be as we go through into the start of November. So the red line here is the 30-year temperature average, and we can see that we're actually above average now. We're going to go a bit cooler through the middle part of the week, but then the temperatures pick up again as we go to the end of the week and the weekend. This is the 1st of November, just here, so the 1st, well above average, and we keep it very mild then, going through the first week of November anyway. Perhaps a little bit of a cooling trend here right at the end of the ensemble. That's an unreliable time frame of the model. And even then, it's still a bit above average, really, with most of those ensemble members. So, a very mild start to November. Looks like it's on the way. Quite a bit of rainfall coming up this week. Got these precipitation spikes just here. And then as the temperatures push up over the weekend, it is actually turning a bit drier for a while. So, high pressure presumably building up from the south and the southwest, pulling the winds up from the tropics, and that's why it's drying out, but it's also very mild. But these are up-air temperatures, so down on the surface, if the high is clear, particularly at night, it will be cooler than you would think from the upper air temperatures, especially if we start getting mist and fog coming into the high pressure. But I think it's going to be fairly mild by day at the very least. As we go through to the second week of November, the precipitation spikes do come back a little bit then, and that's in association with those temperatures beginning to dip down. But overall, a mild end to October and start to November looks like it's on the way. So here is the generic charts. This is the GFS putting up this southerly wind on Friday. Real battle going on this week with high pressure across most parts of Europe. Going to keep it dry and very mild there. And if you want to know what's happening across Europe this week, do check out the European outlook that we did earlier on today. So lots of high pressure across many central, eastern parts of Europe with these southerly winds. Low pressure in the Atlantic bring bands of rain up from the southwest. It could be a particularly wet day on Friday. We keep that sort of battleground UK scenario going into Saturday. Again, the high pressure is all in there over many parts of Europe. Low pressure in the Atlantic trying desperately to break this high pressure down. In between, of course, we're pulling up these mild, even very mild, southerly winds. Moving through to Sunday, this is the 1st of November, and, well, it's staying unsettled, really, on the GFS anyway. More areas of low pressure close to northwest Scotland. High pressure still in across central parts of Europe. This suggests quite a windy day on Monday the 2nd, but if you follow the isobars back, the air's originating from the tropical Atlantic, so be very balmy with those southwest winds. Probably a lot of cloud, but temperatures could be up to 17, 18 degrees, possibly, on that sort of a setup. It's not all that unusual to get a very mild start to November, I have to say that. You may remember in 2010 where we had the December to remember with freezing cold temperatures throughout the whole of the month, well certainly up to Christmas anyway in 2010. That freeze started at the end of November. But what people forget about November 2010 is that the first half was very mild, and then there was a dramatic switch in the second half of November 2010, and it turned really cold and set up the big freeze that took us into December. But that's it, the first half was very mild. It's not all that unusual to get very balmy, sort of mild temperatures in the first half of November. So we go through to day 10, which is 30th to 5th of November, Bonfire Night. And so I'll be doing a look ahead at Bonfire Night on the events page this evening. And just signs then that maybe we're bringing a system down across the country, possibly cutting off that very mild supply of air and turning it a bit cooler. But even then, it still is generally a mild airflow coming through. The east end of the earth looks like this, very similar, so high pressure to the east, low pressure to the west, bringing up these warm southwesterly winds on Friday the 30th. We go through to Saturday the 31st, Halloween. Again, very similar scenario. It's not going to be as warm as Halloween last year, I don't think, when you may remember we had the all-time record for the 31st of October. I think we went up something like 22 degrees, something ridiculous like that, 72 Fahrenheit. I don't think it'll be as warm as that, because there's going to be quite a bit of cloud and rain around. But this is a very mild airflow coming up from the south in any case. So we move through on to Sunday, the 1st of November. And high pressure is ridging to the south with low pressure up to the northwest. This is probably still bringing bands of rain to the north and west. And then the high pressure sort of begins to take over as we go through to Monday the 2nd and on into Tuesday the 3rd, particularly across England and Wales with quite a lot of dry weather. Could be mist and fog, cloud and rain though, still close to northwest Scotland. The black line here is the jet stream, so the jet stream very close to northwest Scotland, bringing some rain there. But if you follow the isobars back, again, the area is originating from somewhere like the Azores, so will be a very mild airflow pushing up across the country. Day 10, Thursday the 5th of November, probably implies some sort of weather system coming down across the country, bringing a band of rain and possibly slightly cooler air as well. So it certainly looks like the first 7 days of November will be very mild. What about the rest of November? This is how the CFS V2 is looking for the coming months. So these are 500 millibar heights broken down into weekly periods. The first weekly period is going from the 26th of October through to the 1st of November. And it's a very good representation of what we're just looking at. Really high pressure is in across many parts of Europe to the east and the northeast. Trough of low pressure in the Atlantic. The jet stream is going like that, which means we're bringing up this southerly flow across the country, which will be mild, perhaps even very mild at times. The trough to the west, of course, allowing for some rain, particularly to west parts of the country. But all parts could get some rain at times this week. The next week period goes from the 2nd through to the 8th of November. High pressure still centred to the east and northeast of the country, but perhaps building more to the south as well. So this trough of low pressure in the Atlantic being pushed further back into the Atlantic. So it's probably just turning more settled, but it's still very mild with the air coming up like that, being dragged up from somewhere around here in the tropical part of the Atlantic Ocean. Week 3, which is the 9th through to the 15th of November, just signs that the trough low pressure starts to break down the ridge. So the ridge is still there to the east, but this trough is deepening in the Atlantic, and presumably with time bringing more unsettled conditions in. So this could be a transitional period. We sort of start quite dry and very mild, and then we go to something a little bit cooler and more unsettled by the time we get through to the 15th. And then the next week period shows quite a big change, actually. This is the 16th through to the 22nd, and by then the ridge is collapsing and going down to the south, and this trough of low pressure is bringing in much more unsettled conditions from the Atlantic. Now, this could be starting to bring in some colder air as well, because we may be starting to entrench some cooler air down from Greenland. Not a freeze, but it certainly could be significantly cooler with that compared to what we've had up to that point, up to the middle part of November. We can see this on the city temperature graph from website weatherweb.net. This again is CFS V2, and this is for Birmingham. And it shows very mild conditions through the first week to 10 days of November, and then it goes colder. So we've got the temperatures on the side, the dates along the bottom, and we're starting off very mild, of course. It's the 1st of November just here, and you can see how mild it is at this point with temperatures up to the mid-teens Celsius. That's very mild for the start of November. But you'll notice this very dramatic drop in temperature, in fact a bit of a crash in the temperature taking place as we go through into around the middle of the month. This is the 16th of November just here, And that's really quite a cold spell setting up, actually. Colder than you will think, just going off that height anomaly chart for the middle part of November. I mean, we're talking about maximums here of around 3 or 4 Celsius at best. So that is really quite a cold spell that the CFS is seeing for the middle part of November. Also associated with some quite hard frosts as well in this zone just here, taking temperature down to -4. Remember, this is for Birmingham, so for central England, northern areas could be colder than this, but south probably not as cold as this. And then at the end of November, interestingly, this is the 1st of December just here, we start to push the temperatures up again. So a cold spell or a cold snap lasting about a week, 10 days, something like that. And then at the end of November and into the start of December, it goes mild once again. But certainly something looks like it's taking place there for the middle part of November. A little bit of a pattern change on the way. This, again, from CFSV2 from website weatherweb.net. And this is the mean max. These are the mean maximum temperatures for weekly periods. So this first week period ends on the 1st of November, a mild week coming up there with temperatures widely into double figures. We go through to the next week, which is weekend the 8th of November again, another mild or very mild week coming up. There's the colder spell setting up though this weekend in the 15th. And temperatures really do look very cold there, barely going above freezing across some parts of the country. That's probably over the top. It's hard to believe that you could get it quite that cold so early in November. So add 2, 3, 4 degrees on that, which gives you maximums for the week of around 5, 6 Celsius, something like that. And then we go through to the next weekly period, week 4, which ends the 22nd of November, another cold week coming up that week. And then, of course, as we saw on the graph, the temperature begins to recover at the end of the month. So we go back up, particularly for England and Wales, starts to turn milder the week ending the 29th. We go through to the week ending the 6th of December, and we're back into milder conditions again. I won't run on any further, but I tell you that after a milder spell through the middle part of December, the model is going colder this morning for the latter part of December and into the first part of January. It goes very cold indeed. Check out those charts at weatherweb.net. You find a link to the WeatherWeb on the links page. They change every day, so it's always worth keeping an eye on them. And what you should do is check every day, and eventually you should see patterns and trends emerging. So it looks like we're going to be having very mild conditions through to the end of this month anyway, and into the start of November as well. I think the first week to 10 days will be very mild. As I say, it's not all that unusual to get very mild start to November, so if you want cold and wintry weather this winter, don't be too despondent. I am seeing quite a few messages about people already starting to write off the winter. We're still only halfway through autumn, so don't be too despondent if you like cold weather. It's by no means unusual to get very mild conditions at the start of November. As I say, even 2010, which had that severely cold freeze in December, started off with a very mild spell at the first half of November 2010. So not all that unusual, but it looks like we are going to be going very mild for the start of November. After that, maybe hints of something colder for the middle part of the month. It's a little way off, of course, and these models are experimental, so we've got to keep checking on that. And that will be what we look at, I think, over the next couple of weeks to see whether we do get some colder conditions for the middle part of November. That's all for now, and thanks for watching. Remember, on the events page tonight, having a quick look at Bonfire Night. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.